Urban Fitness and IRG decided to throw together a how to safely return to activity presentation. We've been collectively getting questions about when's it safe to return to the gym? How do we return to the gym? What should I and should I not be doing when I get back into the gym? Alex, things are more difficult now since quarantine. Why is that? Why can I not lift the weights I was lifting before? And last but not least, the things we don't want to hear is, I'm hurt, what should I do about it? So, like I said, IRG and Urban Fitness came together, put together a brief presentation to outline how to safely return to activity when you're ready to go back. So here we go.
So the first thing is, obviously, we're Urban Fitness and Health and IRG. You probably hear that a couple times during the presentation. So the reason we're going to go over all this stuff is this applies to most people during the COVID situation. And there's a lot of information out there about returning to training and just training in general, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So we want to provide everybody with a starting point. And then we also want to go over what do you do if it goes wrong? What if you do overtrain or try to come back to or a friend of yours does? We want to give you some options. And then obviously we want to kind of go over what we're doing here at the gym to keep everybody safe, because that's a major concern.
Cool. Okay. So let's start off with who we are. This is Urban Fitness and Health and IRG.
We're located on College Way in Mount Vernon. Pretty hard to miss us. We got a big old sign out front.
There we go. And so starting off, who are we? Okay, so I am Alex. I'm the physical therapist here. I'm a doctor of physical therapy for about 5+ years. I'm a orthopedic certified specialist. I'm a CrossFit level 1 trainer, and I like to specialize in treating the fitness athlete or the weekend warrior. Just getting anybody back to doing the things that they love to do.
My name is Casey Enderlin. I'm the general manager here at Urban Fitness and Health. I've got 3+ years, almost 4, in personal training, and I generally focus on athletes and improving quality of life.
Okay, good. And so jumping into the meat and potatoes, why should you care? Why are you here to even watch this presentation? So why is this relevant to you? Why are you taking time out of your day to watch this? That is a great question, and here we go. Everybody's heard of this, COVID-19. So we'll start off with some statistics. So nearly 6 million cases in the United States alone, about 180,000 deaths. So we're crushing it in these categories. USA, USA. Of course, that's not something that we want to be leading the world in. So let's look at who these individuals are that are being hospitalized and dying from this virus. So I got a little list here that's talking about the risks of hospitalization. And we go down the line, we talk about hypertension, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, morbidly obesity, 2 times these conditions and 3 times these conditions. What this is saying is that somebody with hypertension is 3 times more likely to be hospitalized because of COVID than somebody that does not have these things. And that's scary. If you got 3 or more of these, 5 times more likely, that's terrifying. So looking at this, 91% of adults and 69% of children can be classified as having excess body fat associated with at least 1 additional risk factor of physical health. 91% of adults. That's outstanding. Chronic disease is killing us. If you think 180,000 deaths from COVID is bad, think about the 35 million that will die this year from chronic disease alone. And so what does this mean? Why are we telling you about COVID? I'm sure you're hearing it all over the news. Because exercise can keep you healthy. That is what we do. Sitting in your house and not moving is not the answer. If you get sick, if you want to die, or if you want to get sick, if you want to die prematurely, living a sedentary life is the quickest way to get there. Obviously, there are other things that combine into this. So like getting enough sleep, eating a healthy, balanced diet, reducing bad stress. But we're here to talk about exercise today because that is what we are specialized in. So let's get into it. So let's define detraining. What is detraining? So a partial or complete loss of adaptations in response to a substantial decrease in training load for an extended period of time. This means that your body cannot perform at the same level as it could before detraining, leading to obviously a risk of overtraining, which is not what we want. And this is in regards to all systems, including your endurance, your strength, your power, your muscle size, just to name a couple. I should point out that it does take more than just a weekend of binge drinking to start noticing muscle atrophy. It usually takes greater than 3 weeks, so that's a good sign. The good news also is that if you keep training at 1/3 to 1/9 of the volume you previously were training at, that's enough to hopefully prevent muscle atrophy and muscle wasting. This is where the term "if you don't use it, you lose it" comes into play. Get off the couch. If you want to continue to be able to get off the couch, pick up your children, get off the ground, we need to do a little bit of exercise.
And the first thing that you're going to notice, that indicates that you have gone through detraining is just general physical activity will just get harder. It'll become more difficult. This is also super common, not just during all this, but also after an injury in general. So this happens to all of us and has been happening forever. So, there we go. So how do we return to training? That's the big question right now. How do we go back to exercising when we come back? So the first thing is you have to kind of treat this as if it were an injury. You wouldn't just go running on a broken leg after you hurt yourself. You would kind of ease yourself into it and strengthen that leg. And the human body works the same way after detraining. There's no perfect way that's going to work for everybody to return to training. Everybody's different. The best way to figure out if you are returning to training properly is to just pay attention to what your body's telling you. Pain, discomfort, these are all the number one signs of that you're pushing yourself too hard. Don't come in and try and like bench your max that you had right before COVID. That's just not going to work, and that's a recipe for disaster. What you want to do is you want to try and work yourself back up to that level, and you will be able to. And the other thing is also allow plenty of rest between the workouts. How long is that? That's generally 1 day, 1 to 2 days. Sometimes it's 3. Again, listen to your body. If you are in pain, you need to rest. And then also just a proper warm up and cool down. 5 minutes of cardio for both of those. And with a warm up, I generally recommend that you use the muscle groups with a light exercise, as well as on a cool down doing some stretching. Now, how do we train for our specific goals? Because everybody's got different reasons they come to the gym. So if you're coming to the gym and you want to be able to run a marathon or hike, or you just want to generally develop cardiovascular endurance and fight heart disease, the first thing to remember is that cardiovascular exercise is cumulative. So if I spend 3 10-minute sessions on the treadmill, I did 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise, and my body will recognize that. So a good way to get started if you're not used to cardiovascular training is to do intervals. Do a little bit of cardio, hop off the treadmill, go lift a little bit, hop back on the treadmill when you're feeling good. The other thing you can do is if you like to just go run for 3 hours on a treadmill because you're crazy like that, start out slow, slowly ramp it up, and then cool it back down, and that's your cool down. And that'll work for most people. If you just want to get stronger, you want to be able to lift heavy objects, heavy weight, maybe you're a power lifter. The first thing to focus on is that it's going to be all about weight for you, but don't go hit that 1 rep max to start. Start out at 6 reps, work your way back up. You will actually generally be surprised how much detraining has happened to you. But if you do it safely and effectively, you'll get back to where you were faster than you think you will. The other thing is lots and lots of rest between reps. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself. So, 5 to 8 minutes is generally pretty good. And again, pay attention to your body. When you feel good, go hit that bench press again. If you're working on power, don't go right into power. You want to start by working on your strength so that when you go to hit power, those Olympic lifts, plyometrics, hang cleans, things like that, your body is ready for that kind of force, because this is where we see most of the injuries. You're trying to do too much power too soon. And then hypertrophy. There's bodybuilders. Some people just want to look better and they want bigger muscles. The focus here is going to be on volume. You want to increase the amount of reps you're doing. Lighter weights, more reps. Shorter rest periods. But the thing to keep in mind is you want to try and just do 1 exercise per muscle group when starting out. You don't want to do 5 different kinds of curls and tear a bicep.
Okay, and so now we're going to get into what are the risks of overtraining. So somebody comes in and says, but Alex, I just love crushing it in the gym for hours every single day. That is not necessary. No days off is not the answer. We need a little bit of rest in the beginning. So let's get into overtraining syndrome. What is overtraining syndrome? So increased fatigue and reduced performance despite increasing training volume. You don't feel like you can recover, and the weights you were able to lift or the pace you were able to run is becoming more challenging to maintain. You're feeling more sore after workouts, and you're not feeling recovered at all despite trying to recover. Tone it down a little bit. We need a little bit more rest in there. We need a little bit better sleep, a little bit better recovery. Mental issues, so burnout and fatigue, those play a lot into overtraining. If you're training too much, you're not going to want to go to the gym as much as you normally did, and you're going to be higher in that fatigue area. Overuse injuries, so these are things that we talk about like strains, sprains, muscle tears, tendon injuries, swelling, fractures, rhabdomyolysis, or a breakdown of muscle. This is where chronically overtraining hurts you physically. And if you want to talk about any of these in detail, we're not going to go into detail here, but that's what we're here to talk about. if you want to come in and talk to us. Okay, and then finally, last but not least, delayed onset muscle soreness, which we're going to get into next. So delayed onset muscle soreness. So what's the difference between delayed onset muscle soreness and an actual injury? So if we look at delayed onset muscle soreness, it's one of the most common injuries in sport. If you have ever worked out before, you probably felt it. It's caused by eccentric muscle contractions or lengthening a muscle under load or unfamiliar forms of exercise that's done too much. What's happening is damage of the skeletal muscle leading to an inflammatory response. And remember, an inflammatory response is not always bad. Sometimes this is what's needed to recover. So you break down muscle to rebuild it stronger. That's how it works. It's associated with impaired muscle force capacities and increased soreness, pain, stiffness, and swelling, and also some altered biomechanics around adjacent joints. So, for example, if you did way too many curls in the squat rack, like Casey was talking about, the next day bending your elbow might be a little difficult, and that could just be delayed onset muscle soreness. Usually you see it 6 to 12 hours after exercise, and it peaks at 48 to 72 hours after exercise. Symptoms could take anywhere from 5 to 7 days to disappear. And so now that we have delayed onset muscle soreness, what do we do about it? So let's look at different things you can do. So cold and compression have shown that they have the most promise. So get an ice pack on it, doing a little bit of compression with an ace wrap or something can help a little bit. Heat appears to be good for muscle growth after the immediate phase. Don't really worry too much about non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil, ibuprofen. Like I said, inflammation is part of the healing process. Nutrition studies are kind of lacking. And then foam rolling, stretching, flossing, there's not a lot of research behind it, but if it feels good for you and it's not doing any more damage, by all means, foam roll. Okay, so now let's get into an actual injury. So what do we see in an actual injury? Frequent and consistent sharp pain, worsening of symptoms, decline in performance and function, sleep disturbances, inability to return to training due to pain, and pain at rest for more than a couple days or weeks. Remember, the key factor here is no improvement over a couple days to a week or more, despite decreasing volume and increasing your training intensity. Good, okay, so now we go, what do I do if I get injured? So to start out, pain may be a sign that something is wrong, but just remember, complete rest is not always the answer. Muscle soreness is expected after exercise. It's gonna be there. You don't necessarily have to rest the injured area unless there is an acute tear, fracture, or other red flags. Rather than rest, let's modify the movement and train around an injury. So let's take knee pain in a squat, for example. Before you try to just give up on your squat, let's change it a little bit. Change your stance, vary the load, modify the exercise a little bit, add a box or a band or something like that. And if it's still not working, once again, that's why we are here. There's so much you can do while injured that can keep you fit and avoid muscle atrophy or muscle wasting, like detraining. This is obviously dependent on the injury. If you break a bone, you need to decrease load to that bone. There's no way of getting around that. So say we have a tendon issue, we need to introduce load correctly to strengthen that tendon in a controlled way so we can get back to doing the things we like to do. So remember, once again, this is where we come in. We offer free injury screens, free movement screens, just to see, check your form, anything like that. If something's bothering you, that's why we're here. We're more than happy to see how you're exercising and give you some pointers to keep you moving at your best.
We also have a bridge program so that after you're done with physical therapy, personal trainers can help you continue to advance and make the progress you've made in physical therapy and reach your peak.
Nice.
So what are we doing to keep the gym safe? This is a big question. We get it all the time. So the first thing is we talk to the Department of Health all the time. Too much sometimes, I get deaf in one ear. But essentially, we've run all our protocols through them. We've double-checked all the guidelines, and we've told them what we're doing, and they've basically okayed it. The other thing is we have a new cleaning solution called Virex. This is recommended by the CDC and kills viral organisms like COVID-19. Everyone is spraying everything down after they use it, and we are cleaning everything multiple times a day. So once in the middle of the day and once at the end of the day, as well as after somebody uses it.
Nice.
We also have a middle of the day. We've introduced stricter guidelines for those of us who are in the at-risk category. We've introduced this time where we reduce the number of people in the gym and have tighter restrictions. Masks are required unless you're in the middle of your workout, but as you move between equipment, we just ask that you put the mask back on because it's going to be difficult to socially distance at that point.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then so with physical therapy and urban fitness, we have private treatment rooms. It's one-on-one care. You won't be passed around to a handful of other people you don't know. It's just going to be with one person, and that person is me. We'll take your health and concerns into account when working with you to keep you as safe as possible. We're washing our hands and cleaning the rooms religiously to help keep everyone safe. So that's what we got. So we just wanted to say a little thank you. Just remember that with physical therapy, we offer free injury screens here.
We're here to help, and then we also have consultations, free consultations with personal trainers when you sign up at the gym.
There you go. And last but not least, let's hit a couple key points that we talked about in this presentation. So remember, exercise is good for you. It is immunoprotective. Sitting on your bottom at home is not the answer ever. There's always something you can do to keep your fitness up and keep you healthy and active. How do you pair therapists and trainers with individuals? I'm going to start training for a marathon. How do I approach starting? So that depends. So if we're dealing with an injury or you have some form that you feel like you need physical therapy with, come on in. If it's a training part of it, how do you go about pairing trainers and people that are looking for help with that?
So most of our trainers are qualified to help someone start running a marathon and work on cardiovascular fitness, which is going to be the core of that. Generally, what we do is we try to pair people up based on their personalities when it comes to something pretty general like that.
Yeah. So we just make sure that you're getting along with who you're working with, and if you're not, then we'll find somebody that works out for you.
And the first step is that step through the front door.
Exactly. Remember, we're here to help. Both of us we have open doors. Come in, ask a question. That's what we're here for. We got our emails on here. Shoot us an email. Wear a mask and wash your hands. That's simple as that. Just wear a mask, wash your hands, be courteous to those around you, please. Remember, we're in this together, and we want to get out of this better than when we came in, and we can do that. There we go. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.